Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dax Shepard, and I'm joined by Dan Rather.
I wish.
Oh, don't we all?
Wouldn't it be great?
Oh, what an esteemed colleague.
Oh.
I'm calling him a colleague. Boy, do we have a fun, rambunctious party time episode today.
So fun and thoughtful.
And also a mix of thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
Josh Gad, boy, oh boy, what a talented MFer, right?
He really is special.
Can sing like a freight train, endlessly funny, improv genius, likable, lovable. He's a Grammy Award winner for Best Musical with the Book of Mormon. Also, little film called Frozen and Frozen 2, Beauty and the Beast. He's got a hysterical new show that we watched, Avenue 5 on HBO. Every Sunday there's a new episode. He plays an insane person, and he does it so well, doesn't he?
It's so funny.
And guess what? Last episode, we tickled your eardrums, and now we're going to tickle your taste buds with a little clip from Monica and Jess Love Boys.
Yes. Our guest this week was with our mother.
Yeah, you had your mother on. So let's take a little listen to that before we kick into the incredibly hysterical Josh Gad.
I have a mom from preschool who just went out with her recently divorced mom friend. And she was sitting at dinner, and the recently divorced mom friend said, "Give me 1 second, I'll be right back." And went into the bathroom at the restaurant and then came back to the table and said, "I sometimes flirt with this bartender, and I often leave my underwear in there for him." And
What?
But hold on.
Oh my God.
He loves it. She loves it. They both feel sexy. This mom is like divorced and ready to mingle. And she was feeling herself. And I was like, fuck yes. If you want to leave your panties for someone, go for it. And I would like to see you open yourself up a little bit more like that. Like, have you ever left your panties for someone to find? Just because you know it's like a treat. It's like sometimes like leaving a $10 bill on the ground, knowing you're going to make someone's day.
That's fun, and I can see that, but you have to get there. The problem is for me is even
starting.
Getting to the point.
What would happen if you just left him there? What would
probably get
happen if you
arrested.
went to it? You can't get arrested. First of all, then everyone at Home Depot would be arrested, okay?
Oh, is
because
that
people
place
shit their
littered with-
pants all the time in Home Depot. I know it. Dax comes out of the Home Depot bathroom having shit his pants and says there's so many underwear in the Home Depot men's room garbage can.
Ew.
So it's not an arrestable offense, I can confirm.
Oh, boy. Well, I guess I really take it on the chin there in this. Somehow it's a dating show, and then she comes up that I had an accident.
Well,
at
you
Home
have
Depot.
told all of the armchairies about it
Yeah,
many a time.
That's true. Okay, well, I am so excited for Monica and Jess Love Boys. And I'm also excited for Josh Gad, so please enjoy.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
How about Kumal's body?
Oh, my God.
Can we just talk about that? It looks superimposed.
No. What?
Yes. Yes.
Look at his arms!
He kind of looks like Wolverine.
Right.
Yes. I gotta tell you, I'm very envious. I think,
Oh, yeah.
I
Just
think
to be able to, like,
that's what don't you feel like Marvel should just start opening up gyms?
Wow. Well, no, when he came on here, he was just starting this process.
Kumal, how are you doing?
So many
this?
veins.
The veins are.
He's a nurse's
No, are
wet
you not
dream.
into the veins?
I'm not into the veins.
Yeah.
That
Wait,
looks-
those veins are veins in general.
I mean-
are you okay with my varicose?
Oh, of course.
But
Of
you
course.
just
That's
don't
very
like-
natural.
And
You
your-
just don't like
And your
working out
vas
veins.
deferens.
And my vas
Are you
Yeah.
okay with
Well, I'm-
Gad's vas
I'm
deferens?
so on his vas deferens.
Yeah.
You're on the
yeah.
fence about his vas
Yeah,
deferens?
there's a lot of people, including my own wife, are very lukewarm on my vas deferens.
Well, can I say it's what it really is a polarizing vas deferens because I love it.
You love
I'm
it.
obsessed with it, as some group
yeah.
are.
Yes.
It's either people really love your vas deferens or they
hate it.
hate it.
They're very controversial.
And wouldn't you prefer that? I don't want anyone ambivalent.
No, I don't want people to look at my vas deferens and not have an opinion. Like
Yeah.
I want them to be emotionally challenged
And
by
connected.
all of my veins. Yeah. I was told this morning, I did a physical, and I was told this morning that she couldn't find my vein.
Oh, really?
Oh, I hate
Yeah.
that.
Is that
I
a
hate it
common
too.
thing?
I
Yes.
guess in my body type, yes.
And does that mean multiple stabbings?
It meant multiple stabbings, and I didn't appreciate that.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Because at a certain point, they're just drawing blood from underskin.
Oof.
From just
Just topical blood.
just
that
topical
beans-
blood. Have you ever had the thing where they can't find it, so they go to the top of your hand?
No, because I happen to have one garden hose.
Right.
I tend to be a nurse's wet dream as well.
Really?
Yeah,
is
like Kamal.
Not going to have any issues.
No, Camille is definitely not going to have any issues.
Nope.
He
He
been
needs to
specifically
avoid-
working out his veins.
Well, he
is-
needs to avoid any sharp corners or anything because he could just start spurting blood. Isn't it funny? We've talked about this on here a ton. You and I love that, right? We love it. We would love to have huge
Are you
veiny
kidding
hammers.
me? Like, I want Kumal's body. I don't want to work
yeah.
for it, though. That's the problem.
Well, hey, look, by the way, he looks
Phenomenal.
phenomenal. And I'm proud of him because when he came on this show, he was just starting this process and he was talking about all
He literally
this
was like week 4.
commitment. Yes.
So then, like, now that I've done the show, I could have his body.
that's what I mean.
That's exactly
People
what
Am
it
who
I
is.
just
come
at
on
the start
here.
of my process?
Yeah.
Generally, the
yes.
trainers say step 1, go on Armchair Expert.
Yep.
And openly express your goals because now you're accountable to a million folks.
I want Kumal's body. That's my goal.
The next time we see you,
I will look.
or we won't see you again.
No.
So those are the stakes, just so you're
you'll-
clear.
yeah, somebody else will be sitting here and going, have you guys seen Josh's thirst?
Oh,
Yeah.
Anybody else thirsty for some of that Josh Gad body?
I can't wait to have that conversation.
I can't wait for you
I'm
to
going to
have
say,
it.
I heard his physical went great this year, that they got blood in seconds. And then it just pumped out all over the walls and the floor.
Oh my God.
blood
Oh,
spurting
God.
everywhere. I'm really excited about that.
But sincere question about your physical. Knowing that you had the physical, you have to fast. And isn't it, what part of it is hardest for you? Because I have a specific thing.
I think the hardest part is not eating food in general in life.
Oh,
It's
okay.
always hard. No,
Mine's coffee. Like you wake up to go to that physical and I can't have nicotine or coffee.
no, you can have coffee.
Not my guy.
Well, then one of us is going to the wrong doctor.
If you're supposed to not eat food, why would you?
My doctor specifically said you
Caffeine.
can have caffeine and you can have water. Anything
probably
else is a no-go. So like do you get call-ins? That's not how podcasts work, is it?
Some do. We
Some
don't.
have it.
Yeah.
We would like to. We tried it.
Should I call someone?
Why
now
don't you
to
go
just get an
outside,
opinion?
call me,
Call you.
I'll answer, we'll do this.
Like, what do you think? What's your stance on caffeine?
But you can't drink a cold brew in the morning.
I can do
you?
anything I want to do. It's my body, my right.
Well, clearly you can.
My body, my choice.
That's right.
You have the
Yeah.
constitutional protection to choose however you'd like.
Yes.
But really, would you have a cold brew in the morning?
Yes.
You would.
People do.
Yes.
That
Why?
sounds like a vampire move or
Why
something.
wouldn't I?
Just because of the ritual of having this warm beverage. I don't know. It's historic.
You know what's funny? It is. It's historic. I think when I was on Broadway, I did Broadway.
Oh, you
Yes,
did?
It's a New York thing.
Oh, okay.
And when I did this Broadway thing, it's a very comfortable couch, by the way.
Isn't it?
There's so much has happened on that. I feel like this is going to be in the Smithsonian.
Talk about historic.
This is historic.
That's right.
So when I was on this thing called Broadway, which is live performance, the only way that I could get through a show without being exhausted was cold brew.
Cold brew. Well, let's just say that show, which I am aware of, Book of Mormon, it was an exhausting show.
Exhausting.
Right? It's the hardest thing to do on Broadway is a musical, correct?
I think so.
No, I mean just like if you measured someone's metabolic output.
Correct. The dancing,
Yeah,
the
dancing.
singing. My voice teacher once said, I have a voice teacher, as one does.
Is it Oscar the Grouch?
No, does it sound like I was trained by Oscar the Grouch? Is that the vibe I'm giving off?
Isn't that what you're known for?
Sing from your diaphragm, Josh.
Cookie.
I feel like that's definitely not Oscar. I feel
No,
like
now I'm being Cookie Monster.
you're being Cookie Monster.
Because
Okay,
you're Oscar.
I was like, you haven't watched Sesame Street, have you?
No,
Because
I-
Oscar doesn't say anything about cookies.
No, but Cookie Monster comes in often with a request. Cookie.
They're all just variations of like smokers at a certain point. They're just like
or people that are so inebriated at a bar
Yes.
that they're like down to just the basic desire of a cookie,
or garbage.
fucky.
Or yeah.
fucky. Oh, that sounds
Hungry fucky.
No, you know what's scary is
F is for fuck.
So back to your voice teacher.
So back to my voice teacher, she said something, and I think it's true, is that the hardest part of doing a Broadway musical is staying well enough to do a Broadway musical, right? Like, especially in Book of Mormon, you go out till fucking 2:00 in the morning every night because everybody's coming to see it. Everybody wants to say hi.
It's such a
Everybody
good
wants to go to
time
the-
show, too.
And then you have all this adrenaline after you do the show. So you're out late at night.
Yeah.
You're drinking. You can't do this. You can't do that. You got to stay like completely healthy.
Were you ever a smoker or are you a smoker?
I'm an occasional smoker.
Like when you're drunk, you'll step outside
Yes,
with the gang.
100%.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky that I've never become addicted.
Do you in general have an addictive personality or no?
But look at my waist size. What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I have no conclusion.
Oh, I'm addicted to food.
Okay.
I'm addicted to carbohydrates.
Yeah, they're so
They're
delicious.
so
They are
delicious.
They're so satisfying.
They're
Beyond
so satisfying.
delicious. They hit the
They're
spot.
satisfying, but then they aren't because you just want more and more and
Well,
more
you
and
do,
more. and
but
more.
like, don't you feel? I just want to get comfortable. Don't you feel that? Like,
Josh really has my number. Do you know that about Josh?
I can tell.
I have a real hard time not laughing around him.
that's not true.
No, it's
you
true.
sent me the loveliest Marco Polo the other
Oh,
day.
about your, I mean, you couldn't, you were on Kimmel with 35 people
Right.
to
In
promote
the back.
Frozen. In the
They
fucking,
were
in the
real-
nosebleeds.
Yeah, pieces of shit to me.
Already my ego would have been real
I was so
sensitive.
bruised. I was so bruised. I really only saw like the stage manager's view of Jimmy Kimmel. Like I didn't even get like a good front angle.
Wait, you're
I
talking
was
about when you guys went on to promote
Frozen. And
Yes.
there was 5 of you, 4.
Yes,
Right.
the front was the money shot.
Sure.
The
And
girls.
then
The gals
they
got
tried
that.
to put me as far out of the public view as
see, I
possible
see.
while still having me accountable.
And now the needle that Josh had to thread of not seeming too thirsty
Right.
and bruised.
Right. Both of which were
happening.
completely happening.
Yeah, full blown bruised and thirsty. And yet only popped in at the perfect time. Every time he did it, it was a 10. And then he didn't get greedy. Every single ad was a 10. It leveled everyone.
Wow.
And then he just hung back for a second. And it's very consistent with, because really you and I only know each other through going to Frozen
Yeah,
functions.
that's it. Once every 6 years, we see each other.
So I guess we've
hug
seen each other
and-
twice.
Yeah, we've only ever met 3 times, baby.
But you and I have the same role in life generally, which is we're the jester. And it's our job to kind of make light of how awkward just life is.
It's 100% accurate.
And what I love is I was old enough when I met you that I didn't get competitive with you. Because I could have seen
We
how
go
much,
after very different roles, you and I would imagine.
but just a general attention at a big dinner.
I wish I was a Dax Shepard.
Oh, Josh Gad. I wish I could sing like you and create like you. So it's very mutual. It's fun to just be at a dinner party with you or just be somewhere with you. And I was like, what a service you provide. And it's not on my shoulders. You do. You do. Because there's so much, like you guys are so regularly on a stage with some huge executive.
Right.
And that guy like stammers through some speech and he, and it's so ripe for someone to cut the seriousness of it.
You and I both have a similar sensibility too about that stuff where we don't take any of it seriously. And
Yes, we're kind of what's the word for it? It's like there's a gentle apathy or something.
yes.
Or some.
I
kind
don't
of,
speak French. Is that wa de vivre? What? No, wa de vivre. is
Disregard
Disregard. Wa de vivre is a different thing completely.
know
I
what
just
that is
really
at
wanted
all.
to say wa de vivre.
What
that
does it
feels
mean?
sexual. Isn't that like prowess?
No, that's like that. He has a certain wa de vivre, which means
swagger.
No, it just means wa de vivre.
Oh, it's
There's no-
literally.
Okay.
There's no translation.
Oh,
It's just a
wow.
wa de vivre.
It's just a sound.
Yeah, it's just sounds. It's just like he's got a whoop, papa.
It's onomatopoeia, but
Yeah.
there's no
There's
actual
no
object.
translation. It's just French sounds. Yeah.
It's basically like he's got a woo woo.
Yeah, that guy's got some.
It's French
Yeah.
for.
You really are an armchair expert in everything.
Yeah, I like to think so. But anyways,
Wait, back to carbohydrates.
Yeah, sorry,
We
sorry,
really
sorry.
went.
Sorry.
Really
So, right.
I know.
How about them carbs? Speaking of carbs, how do you start your days?
generally matcha tea
Okay, yeah.
that I make in the little dish.
Are you guys non-breakfast types?
Kind of.
I have to
Really?
make myself
Yeah.
eat breakfast.
Oh,
I don't
man.
want to. You love breakfast?
Breakfast is it for me.
Oh, that's your meal.
Breakfast is well, no, that's one of many meals.
Okay.
Breakfast just starts the meal ceremony, and then I just basically the rest of the day is a continuation of breakfast.
And what do you
It's
like?
just literally like my general meal plan day is basically like the 9 Star Wars films. It's just a marathon of food. All
But is it
just
true?
being funneled into my mouth?
If you are addictive by nature in it, and I certainly have relate to addiction, don't you find, like when I would wake up and take 3 Vicodin and a coffee, beautiful little buzz, and then the rest of the day is just maintenance, and it doesn't really ever reach that, and it's actually diminishing throughout the day. And I feel like the carb cycle is kind of that way. It's like the first big thing is awesome, and then it's like a dip of low energy, and then you got to pick it back up with another meal, and then another dip.
That's exactly how it goes. If I had a Kumal body, and I think that's what we have to start calling just a great body. It's
Yeah,
just-
a
If
K-bod.
if I had a K-bod, I would start every day with a bacon, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel. That would be the
That'd be
start.
yummy,
Okay.
I love everything bagels.
Right, everything bagels are they're perfect. They are the single greatest invention outside of the television.
Yeah.
And the podcast, obviously. Then I would have probably as a snack, I would do like this is just again K-bod. Like if we're just
Yeah.
going off of K-bod,
Right.
I would have just like a slice of pizza, like
Ooh.
pepperoni or
To
cheese.
wrap
just-
up breakfast?
Yeah, to just hold me over.
Great,
It's a bookend.
great,
Yeah.
great.
Like just a little holdover
Yeah.
until lunch. So we're
Just
talking
tying
like
up the
11,
loose ends.
We're talking about 11 a.m.
Right.
Right?
Thin or thick crust? Chicago
Oh
crust?
no. New York style.
Okay.
Like a good with New York water. None of
Oh.
that fake water.
Okay.
And just to bring everyone up to speed who doesn't live in LA and isn't barraged by New Yorkers telling us how much better they are than us all the time.
Right.
To which I always reply, we love New York like you can't imagine.
Yeah,
There's no
but
competition.
There's no competition.
Yeah, we love it.
Why
we
are
love
you,
going there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we think it's a great place.
But in the litany of reasons that it's better is that their city water is much better than ours, which I think it is. That's
It's accurate.
yeah,
It's
objectively true. And that in turn makes the bagels taste better and the pizza
the
dough.
pizza tastes better. Now you know.
Now there are some places that claim to have brought in the water treatment filtration system that creates
But do you
the New
buy
York.
that?
I don't. I think it's such a huge system, the water treatment system of New York. I can't imagine that you can pint size it and put it in the back of a
Right.
pizza shop here.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't quite add up to me. Wait, lunch would be
Yeah, what's for lunch?
probably like General Tso's chicken, just like a good, healthy
Salty.
dose of MSG on a plate.
I like all the things you're saying.
Me
here.
too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Then like would have like a little like tea time, just a bunch
Bowl
of
of pasta.
bowl of pasta.
Yeah.
And then I would go
Meatball pasta.
and then I would go out the day light with just a plate of sushi, like an all you can eat sushi.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then the cycle.
and telling yourself,
Continue.
I'm gonna have a clean dinner sushi, and then get to the all you can
Yeah.
eat bar and really focus on the tempura.
Oh no, all of it would be tempura.
yes, but on the
But
right
I'd be
there,
like, this is the lightest meal I've had today.
and the right there, you'd be convinced you're just eating sushi.
Yeah. And then I would end the day with the same mantra, which is thank God I'm Kumo.
Oh god,
And that would
what
be it.
That would be a
And that would
perfect
be
day.
A perfect day.
But
Well,
there's
then-
no dessert in there. You're
You're a
not
I'm
a
not a
sweet
sweets guy.
guy.
I'm a savory. I like some like a good cookies and cream ice cream
Oh yeah.
to wash down all those
to cleanse the palate.
to cleanse the palate.
I too am savory. I much easier give up sugar than salty stuff. Then you and I must share this in common. Because can I just say one thing? I am the lightest shepherd in shepherd history by about 80 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. So I am
You've always been
designed.
physically fit though.
Yes, in I think opposition to being my father, like a dedication to be opposite of my father. But so I've been on diet since I was 20 years old. My first diet was 20.
Were you ever overweight?
Well, here's what happened. I graduated high school at 180. I went on the road doing car shows, and I worked for GM, and we had an expense account for food. Oh. And my best friend Aaron and I just ate at every fast food restaurant about 5 times a day, and we ate as much as we could consume because it was free. And within a year and a half after graduating high school, we were in Atlanta doing a car show. I got on a scale, and I was 217. So I had gained 40 pounds in a year and a half, and I was like, oh, I see. I'm becoming my father.
Right.
This is over. And then I went fat-free for an entire year and lost 40 pounds.
Fat-free.
Fat-free, because that was the rage in
I remember
1994.
I remember that, right.
And so
Was that like the Atkins sort of?
it wasn't Atkins yet. It was fat-free. So opposite.
it.
Atkins is like you can
Fat,
have
as
much
much
fat
right.
and get into ketosis. So I did that for a year, lost a bunch of weight. Then over the next few years, put on some more weight again, got up to like 220 or something. Then did Atkins with my ex-girlfriend for a year, lost the weight again. So I've yo-yoed a ton.
Well, you look great.
Well, thank you. But I was going to say the movie that most appeals to me is Defending Your Life, which you must have seen.
Oh, God. It doesn't matter how many times I see this piece of perfection by Albert Brooks. The Past Lives Pavilion sequence, in particular, with the sumo wrestlers, is one of the funniest bits of comedy I've ever seen in my life.
And one of the conceits of the film is it's a waiting room to decide whether you're going to heaven or hell. And during that period, you can't gain weight. And there's a bunch of great restaurants. So everyone's eating as much as they
all
possibly
you can eat
can.
sushi. It's such a brilliant movie.
It is. I still have that fantasy of like, God, what would a day be like where I literally didn't think about it? Because even when I did Idiocracy, I was like, I got to gain weight really quick. It was written as a really heavy guy, and I wasn't at the time. And so I gained like 40 pounds for that movie.
How do you feel about that movie becoming a documentary?
I love it. I love it. It's to have appeared in a documentary feels prestigious. Like I was not on Broadway like you, so I'm looking for cachet in any hovel I can find it. But even while I was gaining it for Idiocracy, which I thought, oh, this will be great because I have the goal of actually gaining weight, I still, every time I ate the shit, I was like, and I'll have to lose this.
Right.
It was never defending your life in the way I wanted it to be.
You just described a year in Christian Bale's life.
Oh, my
That's like
God.
literally every year.
I can't believe he does it.
Every year. But he claims he's done. What?
I don't buy it. If he got some role that required, he would do it. There's no way he wouldn't.
No, he did a whole interview, and interviews are that's
Permanent.
That's permanent.
Yeah.
You can't
Okay.
take that back.
That's right.
Once you commit to doing an interview, then that's it. I'm gonna do a really good Christian Bale impression.
Oh, I
if you're
can't
ready.
wait. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna gain weight anymore for my role. I'm done with that. What do you think?
I think it's great, but I don't know his real voice enough.
Neither do I.
He's
Okay.
kind
I
of,
was half like Australian, half
It was
English.
good.
well, he has a hodgepodge accent, but
Kind of does. No, but
does.
it's more like it's kind of.
I think it was more like Cockney.
Yeah, it's a little more Cockney, yeah.
I fucking
I'm a-
hate this job.
Yeah, I'm done being fat for the rest of my life.
I
'cause
fucking
can
hate
make that.
this job.
I fucking hate this job. I'm doing this.
I didn't pick to be the fucking best at this. I fucking hate this job. I just am the fucking
That is,
best.
it's like sitting opposite Christian Bale from Empire of the Sun right now.
So, Monica, it is no shock that Josh Gad is successful
It's a
in
shock.
Hollywood because he was born in Hollywood. He's from Hollywood, Florida. His father is an Afghani Jew and mom's a German Jew, Ashkenazi.
Well, Ashkenazi, you said that almost anti-Semitic, like just really like just butchered it.
Now, let me try it anti-Semitically. Ashkenazi.
That's more
really.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps. I
scared.
got bad goosebumps.
Yeah,
there.
that
I
wasn't
got
great.
scary goosebumps. I got scary goosebumps when you did that.
Goosebumps.
But yeah, I'm a mutt.
But that is a very improbable
It's
pairing.
very improbable. He left when he was about 13.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't even like a voluntary leave. It was like, oh, we just realized we don't want your people.
You're not safe here.
Yeah, you should leave.
Right. What year was that?
This was like in the 50s.
Oh.
This was in the 50s.
Okay.
My parents got divorced when I was 6 years old, and I don't really talk to my dad much anymore. Not because he's Afghani, just because he cheated. Just because he cheated on my mom, and that really upset me.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of father issues.
Right, so do I.
Yeah. And my dad died. I got this amazing window the last 4 months he was alive. I was in a position to be able to go back and forth to Michigan and deal with all this cancer stuff. I was enormously cathartic. And then coupled with then having our first kid right after became a pathway to a ton of forgiveness and understanding. Are you anywhere close or nearing that?
If anything,
It's made it worse.
Yes. Here's the thing: is like I have an amazing stepfather. Like I have an amazing stepfather. The stepfather, Stan. So my stepdad really was present. I love my dad, my biological dad. He just was kind of a crummy father.
Sure,
and like
sure.
a terrible husband. And that's okay.
And he wasn't crazy young. What was he, like 28 or something when he had you guys?
Yeah, I mean, well, I have an older brother. I have my oldest brother, Jason's 10 years older. My middle brother is 8 years older, and I was supposed to be Jenny.
Okay.
I was going to be the girl. That didn't work out.
So then if your brother is 10 years older, then your dad was about 19 or 20 when he had your brother.
In his early 20s, yeah.
Okay, so the two things that I go to now is I'm like, oh my God, my dad was 18 when he had my brother, and he was 23 when he had me. I was 38 and 40.
Right.
Such a different stage of life.
Right.
I would have been a horrendous father in my 20s. I was a horrendous steward of my own body.
Right.
Now, the thing that switched for me when we had Lincoln was,
Did he pass before you had Lincoln?
there is a picture of him holding Kristen's belly in the hospital bed. She's about 8 months pregnant. And yeah, he's rubbing her belly. It's a really sweet picture. But when we had Lincoln, all of a sudden it clicked like, oh, I wasn't the victim in that. He was the victim. If I had to choose whether I missed my child's life or missed my dad's life, I would way choose to miss the parent, to not have a parent around, than to have now met Lincoln and not watched her do all the things she did is heartbreaking. I really feel very sad for him. And I'm like, it's worse.
Yeah.
That's a tragedy.
Yeah. No, it is a tragedy. And, you know, I think like I have very little in common with my dad. But the one thing that I will say is I think there's a part of him that probably does look back and regret missing out, because by virtue of missing out on so much, he's now missing out on everything that followed.
Right.
Because I just don't have the relationship with him that I wish I did.
Yeah, you don't have the foundation.
I don't have the foundation.
But I think it sounds like it's coupled with the same thing I had, which is I also adore my fucking mother. So in my story, my mother was the hero, and the dad had to be the antagonist.
My mom is a superhero.
Right.
I mean, a single mom raised 3 boys who all ended up being successful with amazing families, and that is a very hard needle to thread.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we all could have been very fucked up. Like, it was just, you know, it was probably more likely that would have been the case than not. But she was like, I am going to make sure that you guys get an education. I'm going to make sure that you have a roof over your heads, and I'm going to make sure that I do whatever I need to do in order to keep you safe and in order to make sure that you have an opportunity to live out your dreams and your best life. I'll show you. I actually just took a picture. Your podcast viewers can't see this because that's not how podcasts work.
Well, I'll describe it in great
But I'll
detail.
show you. I went home to Florida for my 20th high school reunion, and I took this. I was going through photo albums. I was like, holy shit, my mom was gorgeous. My mom still is beautiful, but it was like a gorgeous woman.
A real piece.
She was a real. Watch your fucking mouth. But look at this. Look at this.
She's crazy cute.
I want to
Isn't
look.
she
Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah, get in there. She really, really is.
She's gorgeous. She
Yeah.
actually looks a lot like my oldest daughter, Ava.
She looks like that actress. She cut her hair really short eventually. So
Beautiful,
cute.
right?
She's so
She
cute.
is,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Oh,
Very connected.
was she on? She was on Big Love, maybe.
Julie Andrews.
Oh no,
was
I know
never
who
on
you're
Big
talking
Love.
about. Jennifer Goodwin.
Jennifer Goodwin.
Oh, she looks a little like Jenny Goodwin. Yes.
Big time.
Yes. No, she was beautiful, and
But again, as you get older, right, and you get a little more aware of the power of storytelling in your head or the story you're creating about your life, and you realize like, oh, I did slap some people into some archetypes. Good guy, bad guy,
yes.
good woman, bad, you know, and maybe it wasn't entirely fair.
no, and like that's the thing is my mom, rightfully so, hated my dad after they got divorced, and me being the youngest, I was the recipient of all of that animosity and anger,
Right.
And so I fucking like absorbed that and was
Sure.
like, yeah, he said that guy really is a piece of shit, huh, mama? Can I be your friend? I need love.
Can I be your husband?
Can I be your spiritual partner, mama? Not in a Game of Thrones way. Just I need
Just in a
love.
plutonic
Yeah.
marriage way.
But I really did absorb a lot of that. And there were, and not to sound cliche or not to sound like fucking needy, but there were a lot of nights where I would wait at the window for a man who was never going to come.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have vivid memories of that. Like my dad would be like, I'm coming to see you. He lived in Colombia, which is where he worked, which is a whole other podcast we should do one time. But, he would say, I'm coming home to visit you. I'm coming home to see you. And I would wait anxiously because I loved him so much. I looked up to him and I wanted to be with him. And then I'd get the call at like 11:30 at night. Oh, I didn't make my flight. And that takes a toll.
Oh, yeah.
But it also creates some resolve. And I think in a lot of ways, I don't think I'd be sitting on this couch today without him.
Yeah, my mom's story that she kind of, my mother was really, really generous about not shit talking my dad, even though she had he never paid child support, didn't do anything. She had dressed my brother and I up on Easter. He had us for Easter. She dressed us up in matching sailor outfits. I had chicken pox the week before. I'd gotten over it. And my father's girlfriend of like 6 weeks, her daughter hadn't had chicken pox yet, and she was too nervous to have me around. So he called and canceled and didn't pick us up. And my mom took a picture of us and mailed it to him. Said, this is what you missed. And she still has a picture. And that's one of her ones where she's like, nah, I can't overlook this.
Right.
Like your girlfriend of 6 weeks kid hasn't had chicken pox yet.
Yeah. No, it's that shit adds up.
Yeah.
That shit adds up.
But great fuel.
But you said something earlier, and a bunch of my friends and I who all grew up without great father figures all sort of similarly found the same thing, which is made us better dads. It made everything that I learned, I used to make sure it would never happen again.
Committing to being the opposite of somebody can be really effective.
Powerful and effective.
Yeah.
And for me, like, that was the greatest lesson, is just like, okay, this is how I felt as a child growing up in a household where my parents just clearly were not meant for each other.
Yeah.
And seeing my father start a new family was so incredibly...
Oh, he did that.
He did that while they were married.
Oh, my goodness. Like one of those cases.
One of
like
those
a
cases.
hidden family.
In fact, I remember meeting my half-brother when I was like 6.5, 7. And my dad's like, I want to introduce you to somebody. And took me to a hotel and was like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, who's this boy?
How old was he?
He's like 2.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty traumatic.
I was nervous he was going to be like a year older than you.
like 10.
That would be messed
That would have
up.
been a real...
But it all happened while he was...
Still married. Did he have an occupation that lent itself to having a secret life? Like, was he on the road selling
He was
stuff?
on the road.
or-
He was in Emeralds.
No shit.
He was in
Uncut
Emeralds.
Gems.
Uncut Gems. He was essentially Adam Sandler's character. Adam Sandler's loosely based
Plain.
on my father.
So Uncut Gems is a biopic about your father, and people should know
Yes,
that.
People should know that. My dad also talks like this.
Oh, exactly. Oh, that's a good Sandler.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, Josh, what's going on today? How come you haven't called me?
Whoa, that's really good.
I do some impressions. I'm not a very good
Wow.
impressionist. Most of the good impressions I do, I can't do anymore because they're all gone. Like Philip Seymour, I did a great Philip
Oh,
Seymour.
we can honor
It's
him
an
right now.
homage.
Yeah. Let me interview
Do
him
it.
for 1 second.
All right.
Okay. Holy smokes, man! You've had such a career. I mean, when I saw Twister, I did not think, oh, this guy is going to end up being one of the greatest.
You know what, Dax? I just want to say, Twister is probably the thing I'm least proud of.
Wow!
My God.
It's definitely something that I.
No, my favorite is actually his monologue in book. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm an idiot. For my SNL audition, I actually did Phil doing his monologue from Mission Impossible 3 where he's like, you have a wife, Ethan, or a girlfriend. I'm going to hurt her, and I'm going to hurt you in front of her. And then I was like, you know what? I
It's
want to.
so,
so good.
good.
And then he's like,
You know what? I want to try it. I want to try it again. I want to do something a little different. I'm gonna do it a little different.
you have a wife, Ethan, And then just did the entire monologue as Truman Capote.
This is
Can I say the
almost
potential
scary.
problem with your impersonations, which are brilliant, is they're all ones that are hard to project really loud.
Very hard to
right?
I do a good Limbaugh. That's a good
Let me
projection.
hear that. Let me hear that.
Dax, the thing that you have to understand is that I'm a real piece of shit. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that proudly. But I speak truth to power.
What your specialty is,
my
I'm discovering, is any person who sounds like they have a Brillo pad caught in their voice box, you can nail.
I can nail.
I'm trying to think who
Wow,
else is in
but
that
they're
category.
very specific.
I
That's
do
really good.
I do a pretty good Pacino.
Oh, let me hear that. I do one too. So
So
can we
let's
let's do some heat.
No, you do heat. You do heat.
Okay.
I wanna hear it. I'm going to close my eyes so I can really imagine.
Does this guy have any idea what's going on with this kid? I got 4 dead bodies on Venice Boulevard, Diane. Sorry, the goddamn chicken's cold.
It's like a 6. You can kind of tell what
Yes,
I'm doing.
yes.
Now let's hear a good one. That's why I went first. 'Cause
Well,
I know
first
you're-
I'm going to give you young Pacino because this is very different.
Oh yeah, Godfather.
Nobody does a young
Pacino.
Pacino. I'm going to give you.
It's a sweet.
Yeah. Sonny, this is Michael. Listen, I need you to go back there. I need you to stay with Dad. Okay, stay there. I'm coming. I'm on my way. Okay, so young Pacino, now old Pacino.
I am going to tell you something right now, Dax. I am having the time of my life on this pot thing. I don't usually come in to do things where people can't see me, but this is fun. I'm having fun doing voices.
This is a good impersonation.
It's a good impression, right?
Quality. This is the thing Monica's most
Really?
impressed
I
with.
love impressions. Unfortunately for Dax, when he does them,
She hates them.
I just can't look at him while he's doing it.
yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
Right.
But I'm very impressed by
I
good
only do a-
impression.
You know what's funny is over the years I've gotten less good at it. Like when I was in the
Same.
groundlings, I could do a bunch of different things, and now I'm down to about 3 or 4 things I can do, and I don't really know why.
Well,
that
because
is.
we don't refine it. Like, right, if we're not like, if you don't have to utilize that skill set, like I do
Yeah.
random, like I do a Maya Angelou impression, which I could never use. I have
Well,
no.
you'd have to first explain to most
I
people.
would have to explain who Maya Angelou is. The thing is like, you don't, well, I don't at least study anymore, right? I don't like watch people and study them, and I used to.
Right.
I used to study voices and be fascinated and be like, how does a voice, like when Maya Angelou speaks, it's so about, I know why the cage bird sings. It's such a like a specific musicality, and I'm always like drawn to musicality and voices.
Sure. Well, I bet you have the same thing Kristen does. Hers is almost an OCD thing. So when we're watching TV and anyone with a unique accent, she must repeat what they just said.
Right. I do that too. But this is my point. My point is that I think we as Americans in particular, our dialects are becoming more and more diluted the more we become, you know,
Immersed on social media
Right. And we're losing
The
that
specificity.
specificity of sound.
Yeah.
So like I went to school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they have like
Carnegie Mellon.
Carnegie Mellon. They have a thank you.
Very fancy
Thank you,
school.
Monica. Thank you. But the first day I got there, I got on the bus and the bus driver was like, "Yin's going downtown a lot," and I was like, "What?" But like so drawn to that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more homogenized we become, the less we can identifiably describe ourselves as being regional. And so like you don't have that Bostonian like musicality anymore. You don't have that New York musicality that much anymore. New generations, older
Yeah.
generations do.
Yeah, you're right.
I did a movie with Ian McKellen, and I just all I would do is just I would speak to him and I would just listen, and then I would go home and I'd be like, "Hello, Josh, how are you?" Like just like practicing my Ian McKellen.
Get in my cockles.
Yeah,
Hug me deep.
You should come over tonight, and the two of us
Should compare vast differences.
has differences.
let's touch in on some of your accomplishments because they're fantastic. First of all, I didn't know that you had auditioned for Silent Night, which is really exciting and something I always wanted to do and never got to.
Hang on one second. Let's be very honest about this.
Okay.
I sent in tapes auditioning for Silent Night.
Okay.
They never actually.
You didn't do that in front of.
I wanted to.
Yeah, me
They
too.
did not want that. They clearly didn't. Then I got The Daily Show and it was like, fuck y'all.
That's kind of the first, would you say, kind of breakthrough-y thing?
Yes. Although you know that I auditioned and got a final callback for Punk'd.
Ooh.
Did you know this?
I don't think I knew this.
Have we ever spoken about this?
No. For the first one?
No.
Oh,
This
okay.
was when the year that I auditioned Hater got it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This
That's
was like
crazy.
early, but
Yeah.
after you guys had already like made it a whole thing.
And did Kutcher remember that when you did
Oh,
jobs?
yeah.
Oh, he did.
Oh, Ashton totally remembered it.
Yeah. Well, I was saved by him. I think I auditioned like 5 times and I kept going like higher up the MTV
so
food
fucking
chain.
good.
Thank you so much. But at one point I was out and then Kutcher just said, I don't love everyone you guys have selected. Let me go through some of these tapes. And he found me. They had another audition without me. And then he was like, no, I think that guy has something. So God bless him.
God bless him.
Yeah.
So that was
If
one
your
of the-
dad didn't leave you, you're not sitting here. And if Kutcher didn't look at those tapes, I'm not sitting.
It all like it usually always comes back to father and Kutcher.
And AK.
So I wanted to be out of college. For whatever reason, I desperately only saw one path for myself, which was I would be on Saturday Night Live. I wanted to be Chris Farley.
Chris Farley, sure.
You know, because that's who I grew up with. I grew
Sure.
up with Sandler and Chris and all those guys. And I had this image in my mind that I, for some reason, going to conservatory to study theater for 4 years, I would be like, oh, I know the best path to get on SNL is to study Shakespeare for 4 years
Yeah.
in Pittsburgh.
Do you remember why you made? Because you just didn't know yet what you wanted.
I didn't-
It seemed
you know-
safer or something.
I think it seems safer. I had ambitions of going to Chicago and doing Second City or doing the Groundlings. And I really wanted to, first and foremost, really train so that I could understand my craft.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really was like, okay, like I got to do this so that I understand what the hell I'm doing. Right.
Right. Was it that, or was it, this is such a flighty fantasy and I want to root it in something that feels very hard and regimented, and does that make sense?
Yeah. I had a lot of success in high school,
Mm-hmm.
in my small little school of doing all the lead roles, and all of that felt like bullshit once I got out into the real world, and I knew that. And I was like, I need to understand what it is I'm doing, because I feel like so many of the things I'm doing because they're habitual, but I don't really get what I'm doing. And by the
Right.
way, still don't.
Right.
But-
sometimes it's best not to.
And conservatory ruined a lot of my friends because it got rid of that impulse that made them actually do that thing which you can't even.
Self-conscious.
It made me self-conscious. It confused me.
Right.
And it wasn't until I actually left Carnegie and went to NIDA in Australia, National Institute of Dramatic Arts, to see like what the hell was in the water, because that was the time like when all of the Australians were coming to America and taking every role. And I was
Russell
like, what?
Crowe
Oh,
and-
Russell and
Russell Crowe.
and Russell Crowe and Russell from The Gladiator was there. But all of them were sort of coming in and doing this amazing work. So I wanted to see what was in the water there. But it wasn't until after I left that any of it started making sense to me.
And what ended up making sense of that whole 4-year experiment?
There are certain applicable things that, depending on the role that I'm doing, are really good at setting a foundation, right? Like understanding what your character's objective is, understanding what the tactics of that are going to look like, understanding what the obstacle is in order for you to achieve your objective.
I watched Downey one time on Off Camera with Sam Jones. I think it was
I just
one of the
did.
first
I
episode.
love Sam.
Oh, me too.
So fascinating.
It's so fun. But Downey said he got pulled aside by Warren Beatty, who I want to say somehow was producing the pickup artist or was involved in some capacity. And he pulled Downey aside and he said, "What are you doing in this scene?" And he goes, oh, I pull up in front of the girl's thing and I read her a note or whatever he says. And he goes, no. What are you doing in this? What are you trying to do in the scene? And Downey goes, well, I'm just trying. And he starts, he doesn't know what he's doing in the scene. And Warren says, you can be late to set. You can not know some of your lines. Not knowing what you're trying to get in each scene, unacceptable. You got to know what you're trying to get. Yeah. And then he really took that to heart and it changed him.
That's it. Like, it's just about specificity. And I think that there's a lot of bullshit. Look, I think that you can probably learn what I learned in a year and a half, 2 years. Mm-hmm. And there's sort of like, drag it out.
But again, I'm not belittling the thing because I've watched it do wonders for certain people. I just think it's kind of like, what type of student were you in high school? Were you the kind that did really well with this structured thing? Or were you the kind, I think it's like as individual as people are, what
I was
thing
a
works.
shitty student at first. I was a really somehow I figured out a way to get F's and D's in like second grade where like I didn't know that shouldn't be possible. And my mom threatened to take me out of the school that I was going to with all my friends. And I turned my academic career around because I was just like, fuck, I don't want to go to like the really shitty school down the block. I figured it out and was a pretty good student, specifically the things that I gravitated towards: history,
right,
English, horrible at math and science. Oh, horrible. Like probably brought down the average at Carnegie Mellon once I went there. But really, really love to learn. Love to absorb.
Still, do you love history?
I love history. I'm not fond of living through history, as I think we're living through right now. I am an avid biography reader. Right now I'm reading the Thomas Edison biography, which I would highly recommend, by Edmund Morris.
Thank you. I've been dying. Monica and I talked about this like 4 different times. We had this wonderful guy, Adam Grant, on, who's a professor who is obsessed with Edison, and as are many people. And so
Fascinating.
We were both like, I got to find a good biography, but there's so many. I don't know which one's
Read
great.
this one. Edmund Morris wrote a trilogy of books about my favorite president, Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, sure. I read the McCullough.
Well, David McCullough's my other favorite biographer. I mean, McCullough's incredible. But if you haven't read them, these Edmund Morris, Teddy Roosevelt biographies are spectacular.
Really?
Spectacular. Have you read Devil in the White City?
Oh, yes. And then we're going to interview Eric.
Yeah,
that's coming up.
I love Eric Larson so much.
Yes.
Did you read the Lusitania book that he did?
No, was that great? Because I wanted to read
Phenomenal.
one right before I interviewed.
Read Lusitania. In the Garden of the Beasts is also really fascinating. That one was all about Dowd. In the Garden of the Beasts is about this ambassador to Germany, leading up to World War II, and fascinating insight into what was going on the ground.
It's great.
It's great. And also really incriminating in terms of America's position, which was basically we wanted our remunerations for World War I, and we're just sent our ambassador there to collect debt.
And he was ill-equipped to be an ambassador, right? He was like a professor or something in Chicago, and he had no expense account. The previous ambassadors had been rich, so they would throw these parties and stuff for other diplomats out of their own pocket. And this guy had no fucking money.
No
and
money. And his daughter was like kind of romantically involved with a Nazi.
Oh,
yes, like
boy.
a serious Nazi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Cool.
I love anytime, because we have such a one-dimensional view of World War II and Nazis and Germany. And anytime you get into the particulars of like the minutia of it is so fascinating to me, because it's such a highlight reel of insanity that when you get into the minutia of like cocktail parties and stuff during that time and how they were trying to persuade the rest of the world, like all that stuff is so fascinating.
It's very hard for me because both my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And so like there's a part of seeing them
as humans
that I struggle with, especially, and I think Spielberg has actually said this about like putting him as characters in his movies. He regrets to a certain extent. I think he regrets it because it almost paints them as elevated beyond reality to a point where they look like fictional characters when they feel like supernatural. Or these were just pieces of shit.
Well, they're always played as the embodiment of evil.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think what's more challenging and also more rewarding is to get real about it. Like, no, there were a ton of normal people that got swept up in something.
Correct.
That is way more nuanced and interesting to me than all of a sudden a veil of evil fell over 35 million people. That requires some kind of supernatural element I don't believe in.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And there's nothing to learn from that lesson.
No.
Whereas if you recognize, like, I'm not a Nazi apologist by any stretch, but recognizing the table that was set for that to happen is very relevant to recognize, and that they buried that country for so long that they were like, whatever you tell me is the enemy, I can't live like this anymore.
Correct.
That's something to avoid.
You asked me if I love history. I think it's essential to learn from history. And I think, like, right now, we are seeing a level of demagoguery throughout the world where we're falling into patterns of nationalism, of populism, of these, things that traditionally and historically never end well, right?
They don't.
Yeah.
I think you can be empathetic and have justice at the same time.
Yes.
So this rise of populism, in my opinion, also reflects a huge chunk of the world feeling completely disenfranchised. Now, I don't sympathize with their goals or what they want or nationalism in general, but I recognize a lot of people feel excluded from a system, and that seems like a viable option. So how do we fix the causing agent of it, as opposed to
100%.
demonizing everyone that's gotten swept up in it?
And I think that the problem is that politics, especially in America, have become a football game. You are either rooting for one team or the other. And I think that it really is, again, important to go back and historically look at everything pre-Clinton, right? Because that's when it really started to become so divisive, is Clinton, Bush, and Obama, and now Trump. Is our Congress in particular no longer knows how to reach across the aisle. I think in many ways, McCain was like the last of those people who could do that.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can't get back to finding common ground on issues, we're doomed. The one thing that gives me hope is that we've been here before.
Oh, totally. That's the thing that's encouraging.
It is a cycle, and I hope that the cycle plays itself out and we can find some sort of unity again.
Yeah, I think we will. You know what it is there's a great bit of human nature at play that's helpful, which is people just get bored of stuff.
Oh, yes.
They get fatigued. And people have gotten fatigued. And I think we're all kind of sick of fucking fighting. It's like we've been fighting with our wife now for 6 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah.
It's just like, I guess I don't care enough anymore to, let's just calm down the fervor.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And-
think you're right.
yeah.
I think you're right. I think people are just tired.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
But you know who was not tired in 2004-ish was a young Josh Gad.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, he was on fire to find employment. And you know what? We've now interviewed enough people where I more and more recognize that The Daily Show is a path not unlike Saturday Night Live. Like now in retrospect, the amount of incredible talents that have come out of that funnel is incredible. It's it's now rivaling SNL.
It really was so unbelievable to be there during John's tenure. And it was after Colbert and Carell had left, but there during John Oliver's prime.
Yeah.
It was me, Samantha Bee, Jason Jones, Wyatt Cenac. It was a great group. It was a
Yeah.
great group and an amazing opportunity to learn from somebody who understands satire in a different way, right?
Right.
Like sitting opposite John is one of the most intimidating propositions I've ever been accountable to. I just would sit and watch this man look at a proposal for like a piece and the way he would dissect it, both from a comedic standpoint, but also just understanding the messaging of what he wanted to get across was just fascinating.
Well, isn't he kind of the originator of take?
Yes.
For lack of a better
Yes.
word. Like he really was like, great, everyone has this info. What is our unique take on this info?
But I also think he, rightfully so, understood that a lot of people got their news from him.
Right,
And he
right.
took that very seriously.
Yeah.
He would take that very seriously and constantly force the writers to make sure that they weren't only getting the joke across, but the message across as well.
Uh-huh.
So that was an insanely blessed period in my life where I just got to sit and learn from a master. The truth is, it was happening at the same time as Book of Mormon was about to happen. So my tenure was
Cut
short in a way that I wish I could have had more time. And I was only there for about 6-7 months, traveling back and forth because I was living in LA, being a guest correspondent. And then as I was thinking about making the move to New York to do Daily Show, Mormon comes into my life. And I said, John, I'm so sorry, but I got to go do this crazy show that's probably only going to be on for like 2 months.
Well, but you had a couple zingers within your short tenure, which is you had like The War on Christmas and Chubby Chasers, right? You had a couple real winners.
I did. My favorite one is the gun piece I did, which was my second piece ever. My first episode of The Daily Show was a train wreck. I did a piece with John on air that was just fucking miserable. I was so pissed at myself. And he was so gracious and was like, it's okay. Like, you know, it takes a minute. You'll figure it out. No worries.
And you're going to get a second shot.
You're going to get a second shot. And I was like, I'm never going to work again. I'm awful. I was just like, fuck you, Gad. You're a fucking piece of shit. John's right about you, even though he hasn't said anything. I know he's right about you. You're an asshole. And so I was like, I got to fucking prove myself. And I did this piece that my producer, Miles Kahn, who now runs Samantha Bee's show, Full Frontal, he brought me this piece, and it was about guns being an investment opportunity, like AK-47s and all these guns. And so I went to go speak to a lot of people who were buying these weapons as gifts for like babies, and like for like gifts on like for weddings and stuff. And and I mean, we're talking like hardcore weaponry.
Sure.
And it made me laugh. And so I did that piece, and then that's when I found my groove. And then about 7 months later, I left.
You committed to this musical, which no one could have predicted it would be what it was.
No, I thought it was going to flop.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many red flags along the way. You know, you're going to tackle religion. You're going to, there's just a lot of things. And I was just curious on the, looking at it from the outside, I was like, God, I wonder if he thought this was a step backwards initially.
It's weird. I had a voice in my head telling me I had to do Book of Mormon no matter what.
Oh, really?
Here's what I knew. I knew I wasn't creatively satisfied to the extent that I wanted to be as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I was having a great time doing Daily Show pieces. I was having a great time earning a really good living doing like character roles on, not great shows and doing, the occasional best friend funny guy role in a movie. I was making a good living as an actor, but I didn't feel, I was hungry still.
Right.
And I got a call one day. I'd done a Broadway show called the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
Oh, right. That's where it all started.
That's where it all started, where I took over for Dan Fogler.
Right.
He won his Tony, and who's brilliant, created this amazing role, and I was blessed enough to come in and do it. And so that opened the door. And then a couple of years later, I got a phone call from Bobby Lopez, who had written a show called Avenue Q. And after Avenue Q, he and the creators of South Park, Trey and Matt, were doing this show called Book of Mormon. So he calls me up and he's like, we're going to do a reading of this. And we would love to have you do it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this must be like that South Park episode about the Mormons. So I'm assuming in my head that they want me to play like Cartman. And at the time, they were toying with it being a movie. They weren't sure if it was going to be for the stage. So he said, we're going to fly you to New York. We only have the first act. You're this character, Elder Cunningham. And, I'll send you the music. So I start listening to music, and I listen to this first song. Hello, my name is El. And I'm like, this is brilliant. And then the second song, 2 by 2 we go. And I'm like, this.
Well, wait, can I just say my favorite line of that first song is, did you know that Jesus was born here in the USA? Kristen drugged me to that. I hate musicals. She drugged me to your performance of it.
Did you like it?
When that lyric hit me, I was like, I'm in. And Commander Buttfuck Naked or whatever it was.
General Buttfucking Naked. Played by, who played that role?
General Buttfuck
You know who played that role on Broadway?
Who?
Brian Tyree Henry, who has gone on to become the star of Atlanta and is fucking blowing up right now.
Wait, Paperboy?
Yes.
Oh my
Paperboy
God.
played him?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So I get the music and I get to this song called, at the time, Vasadigi Ilahai. And I listen to it and I call up my agent after and I go, I can't do this. And they're like, why? And I go, it is so, it's going to get me fucking killed. And they're like, well, it's Trey and Matt. I mean, they're always pushing the boundaries. And I go, no. And I play the song and there's multiple lyrics in it that say, fuck you, God, and the ass, mouth, and cunt. And my agent is like, oh yeah, you can't do this.
Yeah. This is too far.
This has gotten too far. And for whatever reason, I was like, let me just go do this reading of it, the small reading, an intimate setting, and let's see if it works. I mean, I it's one thing to have animated characters do crazy shit. It's another thing to have real people do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I'll never forget white knuckling it during that song. And I looked out and I saw the audience gasp and then watched as the gasps quickly turned into explosive laughter. And I don't know if we could get away with it today. It came out at just the right time.
For sure.
And Trey and Matt, like John, they understand satire in a way a few people do.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I remember actually saying to them once, I said, we were like a week away from opening, and I said to them, I feel like we have one too many like baby rape jokes in the song, and like I think it's gonna make I think it's gonna make our audience really uncomfortable. And Matt looks at me and he goes, you know what? I think you're right about the fact that we're off on the baby rape jokes. And I go, oh, phew, thank you. And he goes, I think we need to add another one. And I go, oh fuck. And he goes, you know, if we're not beating the audience over the head, then they're going to get uncomfortable because we're not committing to the joke.
It's
Yeah,
so
I
true.
agree.
And
Yeah.
that is such a great lesson because it's like the thing that makes Trey and Matt so fucking brilliant at what they do is they never run away. They never
their
look
conviction.
scared. It's
Yeah.
their conviction.
Yeah. It's
There's-
the same thing Chappelle has.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God. How
yeah.
brilliant was that?
Oh my God, I loved
Sticks
it.
and Stones. It was
Oh.
incredible. So I think that was a great lesson. And I'm learning it again working with Armando Iannucci now, who I think is the other king of satire. He's just, there's that like level of commitment.
Well, I had over my time at the Groundlings several different sketches that were kind of built on that architecture where the first 3 times people were going to hate it. And then the fourth time it was going to hit them. And then 4 through 8 were going to be bananas. But doing those sketches for the first time, when you're those first 3 times and it's just crickets and miserable. Like I had a sketch, again, you couldn't possibly do this today, but my friend Josh and I were throwing rocks at some schoolmate's window and we were yelling at him, what are you doing in there? You queer? What are you queer? And then everyone hates it, right? The whole audience hates it. And then slowly it's like, what are you fucking in there combing your gorgeous blonde hair, you fucking queen? And then you come to find out we are head over heels in love with Chad.
Yeah. I love that.
But man, it's a long walk
That's a
to the
long walk.
turn, and you just gotta be
But
steely
those
resolved.
feel so,
Oh, they're so rewarding.
they're so rewarding. But you can't, I don't know if you would do that.
I don't
if you
know.
could.
Yeah.
I think you could still do it if it's clear that the person you're making fun of
Is in love.
Yes, so you're not making fun of a gay person. You're making fun of
Well,
the
our
person
hidden-
who
But,
covers up.
by the way, why does that joke work? That joke works because we all know people like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there
Yes,
was
yes.
a guy in my class when I was growing up in high school who was that guy who always was like, you know, he would much worse than Queen and Queer. And he would, you fucking fag and this and that. And that person ended up,
Married to a dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's a fascinating thing because it's like, I think
The self-flagellation.
I think
of
it's
the
a
whole thing,
self-flagellation. It's the idea that like they're so uncomfortable with themselves.
Yeah.
But it's a distancing yourself from that. Like if I don't like it, then I must not be that for the world
Yeah.
to see. It's just you're putting that out there.
It almost
I'm
seems like
not that.
The best way to hide.
yeah.
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 Sorry, what are you doing with Armando?
I have a show on HBO called Avenue 5 with Hugh Laurie, Zach Woods, Susie Nakamura.
Oh, boy.
And just this amazing ensemble,
Oh, my
Rebecca Front.
gosh.
And it premieres January 19th.
I'm so obsessed with Hugh Laurie. I've never met him.
Oh my God, he's incredible.
Is he incredible?
He's everything you want him to be and more.
Wasn't he a successful crime novelist in England? Like he's written successful crime.
I'm not surprised. I didn't know that. He's also like a savant with music, rides a motorcycle to work every day, which you would
Yeah.
appreciate.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely hardcore into cars, into like machinery.
Oh, I gotta get him on here.
Oh, you would love him. You would love him. He's truly like, I don't use this word. I actually throw this word around too much.
Let's be honest.
I throw this word around way too much. I was going to say I don't use this word lightly. I actually use it very lightly. But Hugh Laurie actually is a true fucking genius.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
He's so fucking funny in this show. And I think like working with Armando and Veep, the two of them wanted to, find something that would make him front and center.
Yeah.
And this
That's awesome.
show is
I am so
Fun.
excited. What's the subject matter of it? Oh, you're in space.
We're in space.
I know this. Yeah.
It is. I think what Armando realized is like satire can no longer be set in the present because it's
Too real.
so like insane what's happening right now that you can't compete with it.
Right.
So
right,
by
right.
sort of setting it 40 years in the future, you can kind of use it as a reflection of what we're dealing with in the present.
Yeah.
And like Idiocracy, which I think also
You're right. We were allowed to make fun of
We're
people in a way that you
correct.
can't do.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's what's driving this experiment, we'll call it. It's pretty fucking bold and hilarious. There's set pieces, comedic set pieces that we're doing on it that I've just never seen before, where I'm just like, wow, how does your brain think of this shit?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It's really fun. And you know what I have to do after this? I have to go direct your wife.
What? In what? Oh, in your guys'
Central Park.
cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a cartoon, Central Park, and it's a musical cartoon.
It's a musical cartoon.
And Kristen says the music's just off the charts.
It's
Great.
great.
And every single time she's come home, she's like, "Ah, the fucking music is so great.
It's
I
it's
love doing it.
And she's so fucking good.
You got nominated for a Tony. It was a huge deal. You were sensational. Then you got all these opportunities. Now, you and I have both had lots of ups and downs. It has to be a testament to what a pleasure you are to work with.
I never understand why the fuck anyone wouldn't be nice doing this. For me, there isn't a day where I don't pinch myself and say, you are the fucking luckiest person alive. Like, not a day, because we're literally sitting on chairs right now doing our job, right?
Oh, yeah.
Talking to each other in the most chill and relaxed way.
Yeah, it's a job.
And this is your job
I know.
today. And like, there are people fucking going into coal mines right now.
Oh,
There
yeah.
are people who are absolutely looking up at the sky and saying, why the fuck can't I do what I love to do?
Yes, but I do want to add one caveat
Please.
because there is this grand illusion. Let me tell you something. I'm having a blast doing this and I love it. But guess what? I washed cars for 14 years for General Motors and I had a fucking blast doing that. So if you're waiting to have a blast, guess what? You're the problem. I just want to add that. Yeah. You can't wait for the big thing to occur before you start having a blast.
100%.
Some people have to work 3 jobs and raise children, and they can't have a blast. It's not an option.
Well, but I could literally show you my time cards from shows and shoots. I regularly on those shows, we worked 7 days straight, and regularly I was putting in 119 hours for the week. I was making like 80 hours of overtime. So
yeah, but
it
you're
was
working with your best friends and your mom's.
I'm just saying that
I think
it's
that
easy
there's-
to think that the status of the job is what you're waiting for to have a good time. I just
Well,
want to say
yes.
that's
I
your
agree
decision.
with that, but
Yeah.
I also agree with what Monica's saying is like,
Some jobs are objectively
there
worse
are
than
there are
others.
Yeah.
people
For sure.
who have to fucking work 3 jobs who didn't sign up for that, and they find it absolutely miserable, but they know that they have to do it because they have to pay the bills. And
Yeah.
my point is that I fucking got lucky, right? I got
yeah.
lucky because that thing that I wanted to do, where the average person who does it makes less than the average housekeeper, I got fucking blessed, and I got to do it, and I got to be successful at it.
Oh, yeah.
And that to me means that at the very least, I should show fucking respect and kindness
Well,
to the
you've-
people that I work with.
You've literally had 3 lottery tickets. You had Book of Mormon. That is $1 billion fucking
Right.
Broadway show. And then you're in Frozen 1 and you're in Frozen 2. Like all 3 of those are mega jackpot lottery tickets.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy
Because
ride.
you know, you didn't work less hard on jobs.
No, I worked harder.
Right.
I worked
there's,
harder.
there's no relationship to your workload and the outcome in these situations.
No. I've never done a project outside of Beauty and the Beast where I've been like, this is a guarantee.
Right.
Right? Like, I've never been like, this is a fucking guarantee.
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast, I knew it was going to work because it worked before.
Yeah.
And unless you really fuck it up, it's going to work.
Yeah.
But everything else, I was like, Book of Mormon will be so fun, but who the fuck is going to see? What part of that Broadway community is the blue hair community is going to come and watch a show?
Yeah, Upper East Side people. Yeah.
And they did.
It's a good lesson because you followed fun. You picked process over result in those cases. You had a job on the Daily Show. That's a huge job.
And you know the end outcome.
Yeah,
is
you know the
good.
outcome of that. Instead, you knew this is something that was going to bring you joy, even if it was a month or 2 months. So that's, a good lesson to follow those things.
And I think I have a theory that in a way that's part of people's luck. Like Kristen has always done things for the right reason. I have not always done things for the right reason. I often did things because I thought the result would be one thing or I wanted money or whatever thing. And she's just never ever operated that way. And she's had tremendous success not giving a shit.
I'm trying to get your wife to do something else with me because I just fucking love working with her.
Yeah.
And hearing her process and work through why she's going to do something or why she's not going to do something is actually a really great lesson.
Well, it's family,
It's
right?
family.
Yeah.
And like, I forget to remind myself of that. I'm really blown away by both of you. I think that you balance your personal life beautifully against your work life.
Well,
and that's
thank
a
you.
struggle sometimes. That is a real struggle. I'm away from home a lot and I hate it.
Yeah. Do you remember meeting Tom Hansen? He's one of my best
Yes.
friends. So Tom Hansen was telling me
I love Tom.
that your 4-year-old daughter is a carbon copy of my 4-year-old daughter.
They're identical.
They're identical. We call her Shirley Farley. She's a mix between Shirley Temple and Chris Farley.
You don't understand. If we gave the two of them
A reality
a
show.
fucking reality show, it would hands down beat the Kardashians.
It would
in the
eclipse
Nielsen
all of
ratings
our
every
careers.
week. Our daughters are both clinically insane.
Yeah, volcanoes.
Yeah, they're volcanoes.
Oh,
and
I
the
love
youngest
it.
ones. And my older one is much more like sweet and very emotional. Wears her heart on her sleeve. Is like beyond literal. So fucking practical. We said to her the other day, we were packing luggage and Ida, my wife, looks at them and goes, I'm going to have to pack a lot in here. And I want to put something else in here. And Ida got annoyed. And she's like, I can't. Do you understand? I'm packing me and you in this bag. She goes, you're going to pack me in that bag? And my wife's like, no, I'm going to pack your stuff. But like, that's the way she perceives everything.
Sure.
It's so sweet, but also really challenging at times.
But really quick, just to talk about Frozen for 1 second. Again, I think you guys had a better sense than I did. But when we watched the first Frozen together, number one, Lasseter and Kristen looked at each other and they knew. And I don't know because that's not my thing. I didn't consume a lot of those Disney animated movies, and so I have no sense of whether I was like, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, that's a once in a lifetime type of movie. Did you know it as well?
When I saw the screening, what I knew was it made me feel the way I felt when I was growing up and I saw movies like Aladdin and Lion King and Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Like I felt like,
Like your heart was online or something?
Yeah. And like I remember my wife, who's very much like you, where she's like, who knows?
Right.
She looked at me and she goes, that's pretty damn special. Like that feels pretty damn special. That's a really good movie.
Well, I knew I got really raging goosebumps when Adina sang Let It Go.
Do you want to hear something crazy? They showed me that 6 months before the movie came out. And I had no idea what the fuck we were making. I was like, what is this movie?
Well, and for people that don't know, you make about 9 versions of the movie along the way.
At least.
Yeah.
9
So you never
versions.
really know what movie you're in until you see it.
But they showed me that and I begged them. I was like, you guys have to just release a trailer of this song. Like do what you did on Lion King with Circle of Life. And if you remember, they didn't sell the movie as a musical.
Right, because they were afraid boys weren't going to go.
They were afraid boys weren't going to come. Nobody knew it was a musical until like it came out.
And that's clearly it's genius. You know, when I was reading about you, I've known that you are very active and ambitious and producerial minded and you want to be a creator. And you've set up a bunch of projects, more than I knew you had set up. And I too have sold about 10 scripts to studios that just never got made. And it's a talent to learn to just move on. It's hard. It's really hard, right? Yeah, and a couple of them I read about, I was like, God, I want to see that. Like the Toy Wars thing. Which I have to imagine has some really salacious, fun, real war between Hasbro and
Mattel. It was a bummer because it's such an amazing story. And hopefully one day we can make it as a film or something. But you spend so much time working on projects like that or Muppets and it's heartbreaking when you just can't.
But I can see where it kills writers. Like, because I've written things I was in love with and I could see myself spending the next 5 years just trying to get that thing made. As opposed to, okay, next thing. It didn't go. I got to just keep
I had to learn it the hard way. And now I'm sort of in a really healthy place. Like, you know, at a certain point, you just like, it's not going to work. Let's just move on.
Yeah, next thing.
Let's cut our losses. And this exists. And maybe one day we can brush it off and you can.
I think it's really the only way.
It's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you go nuts.
Yeah. Josh, I love you. I really could do another 2 hours. I'm almost glad we didn't get into so much of your work because that leaves the door open for you to return.
Yes, like 5 years from now when I'm
6, 7 years.
Really on the other end of my career.
You know, I'll be in a wheelchair
so
instead of an armchair.
So Josh, what happened?
No, you'll look like Kumail by
That's right.
then.
The next time I see you, I'm only going to be veins. I'm going to be 90% veins.
It might be our first video release of a podcast.
So.
Yeah.
Can we make that promise? Is that like if I come in looking like Kumail, I'm shirtless the entire thing.
I'll go buy the cameras.
And it's exclusive video. There's actually no mics.
Yeah.
But we're having a long conversation.
Yeah, we're having a long conversation.
See mouse moving.
Yeah.
Laughing.
Yeah, everybody's like, that sounds really. Do you know where I could get
and
the audio
look on your
that?
face looks like De Niro, and you're like, oh, he must be doing a De Niro accent right now.
Crazy De Niro. That's the impressionist guy. That's Josh Gad, the impressionist guy.
The muscle building impressionist guy. I adore you.
I adore you. It's been a blast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh
me.
Gad. Please come back.
Anytime.
With your next $1 billion property. You fucking prick.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
Gosh, Jad.
Gosh, Jad's here. I want to start by saying that in the interim of interviewing him and today, recording the fact check, I watched his cartoon. That's coming out, I think, on Apple. It's called Central Park.
It is.
It's so good. I couldn't believe. I think it might be my favorite thing that Kristen's been in. I love it.
Wow.
It's like almost a combination between Simpsons and Family Guy. It's so funny for the adults.
Yeah.
And then the songs are insanely good. Like all these incredible songwriters write the music for it.
That's awesome.
Kristen's got a song in it that we can't stop singing in the house. That I think is the best song she's sang.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was written by Sarah Bareilles.
Oh, love Sarah Bareilles so much.
I wish I could sing so I could give you a taste of it.
Yeah. You'll just have to watch Central Park.
Watch Central Park, and then maybe the next time Mom's in here, we'll make her sing it.
Yeah.
Josh Gad. Well done, Josh.
Great job. Great job. Gosh, Jad. Yeah, he's fun.
He is. What a quick-witted son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, so he told us that he had a physical, and you were asking what the hardest part about the physical was, and because for you it's not drinking coffee, and he said he was allowed to drink coffee, and there was a big hullabaloo about that.
Well, he's got more of a loosey-goosey doctor than I have.
But let me tell you something. I just called my doctor last week to schedule
Dr.
an
Topol?
appointment. Oh, man, I wish. No, my primary care physician.
Okay.
To make an appointment for an annual physical.
Okay.
With blood work. And they said they're not doing fasting anymore, that I don't have to fast at all.
What?
Exactly.
What the fuck?
Times
Now you don't even have to
changed. I could eat a huge breakfast right before I go.
I want you to eat a pound of bacon right before they take your blood.
I don't trust it. I'm still going to fast because
Oh, wow.
because I'm very skeptical. I need
like a
clean blood.
It sounded like you had a gotcha moment, but then find out you're still going to fast.
I am. It is a gotcha for you. He probably definitely was allowed to drink caffeine because now you can do anything.
Oh my gosh. You can stop at McDonald's and have like a fucking sausage.
I guess so.
McMuffin.
I wonder what the difference is. I'm going to ask when I go what's changed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can just eat your heart out.
Can I share with people this weird transition I'm going through?
Sure.
Which is, it started with the Whitney Houston documentary.
Oh,
and then watched 2 Whitney Houston documentaries in one weekend and became obsessed with her. And then you and I watched the Taylor Swift documentary.
Yep.
And we became obsessed with her.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear so that if people are on the fence about watching that,
man.
in the past was like, if I were younger, Taylor Swift wouldn't be the thing for me because she's just so widely accepted, and she's kind of like
She's like a Barnes and Noble.
well, she had like a goody kind of persona, clean cut American girl, and I think for all my own personal reasons, I was like, yeah, I need something a little edgier. So that's when I entered the documentary in, and I left thinking she is so phenomenal on so many levels, right?
I agree.
We were just wowed by her nonstop.
Yeah, she's very self-aware, which I loved. And she's transitioning, it sounds like, out of trying to be the thing everybody wants her to be.
Everything
she's kind
to
of done
everybody.
with that. And it's
fun to watch.
really cool. It's a very good documentary.
It's a very good documentary. And then I decided I'm going to buy all of her songs.
Sure.
I mean, I
I already have pretty much all of her songs. She makes the catchiest music.
She does. I do have already like 5 or 6 of her songs. And I love that song that's about me so
oh my
much.
God.
He's so tall
Oh my God,
and handsome as
We already
hell.
did this. It's Harry
And he
Styles.
loves it so well. I mean, that's the rumor that it's Harry Styles, but I think when we interview her, we'll come to find out it's about me.
Okay.
Anyways, so then the Super Bowl halftime show happens.
Oh my goodness.
I was all a titter.
Yeah.
I decided I'm obsessed now
Shakira.
with Shakira.
Yeah, I
I
think.
need to know more about her. I want to learn about her.
Can I say this is a little bit of a microcosm of your life?
How so?
That you just get a little piece of somebody and then you love them.
Oh, yeah.
You love them
yeah.
all the way.
Yeah,
And that's what's happened with these 3 folks.
Yeah, I was just obsessed with, Shakira, Whitney Houston, and Taylor Swift. I think it's funny because I'm mostly obsessed with like off-road racers and motorcycle racers,
Sure.
but slowly and surely, all my interests are
Pop singers.
Yeah, pop singing. I think what I like about it is there's so much left undiscovered because I Cher's on the table.
Yeah.
Celine Dion is on the table.
Oh, I mean, if we can get you coming around on Celine, that'd be great.
All they need to do is make a documentary about her, and I guarantee I'd love her. It's a hard life those people have.
Oh my God, it really is. It's so isolating.
It's their whole life.
Yeah.
Those tours, when we were watching Taylor Swift, I was like, man, just living in a hotel half the year, it's just a very lonely, isolating experience. You're not home. You know your life's like on hold temporarily.
Forever, though, kind of.
Yeah.
For as long as you're succeeding anyway.
And the weight and stress of, the last 5 albums have been number 1. If this is number 5, now I'm a huge failure. I've like fallen off a cliff, like all those stakes.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's really great to watch with kids. I'm really looking forward to watching the Taylor Swift one with the girls because it really explores relying on other people's approval for your own self-esteem, which is, I think we all tend to
fall into. Yeah.
And then also the eating stuff is really important here.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good for her for including that.
I know.
She didn't need to do that.
So impressed by her.
I am too.
She's my favorite person.
Oh, so right. You too, right?
Yeah. What I was thinking also is thank God for Netflix. I mean, every time I'm like, what am I going to watch? I turn it on and there's something new. Like there was the Taylor Swift and then there was Cheer.
Yeah.
There was the Goop Lab. Like there's every time I turn it on, there's something new for me to get excited about. They are brilliant over there.
I mean, it's just, we're living in the golden era.
We are.
Yeah, it's like the roaring 20s of TV.
It is.
People
It's
look
so
back on this
exciting.
era and be like, oh, man, everyone was having so much fun. They were just sitting on their couches forever.
Ever. So he says joie de vivre, and no one knew what that meant. But it's a French phrase, often used in English, to express a cheerful enjoyment of life and exultation of spirit.
Oh, not opaque.
No. Joie de vivre.
I think it's very fitting that we have such a loose understanding of the word opaque when that, in a way, encapsulates
That's
what the word
right.
means.
God, the irony.
It is so ironic. You cut the irony with a knife in here.
Okay, New York water. All right. There was this article about New York water.
Okay.
And America's Test Kitchen did some testing on is it really the water in these bagels
Oh, okay, good.
that's causing the bagels to taste so good? So
I don't know if I believe
I'll
it.
just go ahead and skip all this and say no.
Okay, that was my hunch. Okay.
They say
tell us
no.
why. They just say no.
Okay, I'll read this part.
Okay.
The cooks at America's Test Kitchen whipped up a batch of bagels with water from Brooklyn and a batch with water from Brookline, Massachusetts. That's
Okay.
kind of funny that they did that.
It is.
Similar
and
names.
confusing.
A blind side-by-side tasting proved no difference at all. Next, they sent samples of both waters they used in their bagels to the lab. They found that there was indeed a difference in pH levels. New York water has lower levels of calcium carbonate and magnesium. This explains why in other metropolitan locales with harder water, the bagels come out tougher. The hardness of the water toughens up the gluten. Oh, that's not good for you. You need loose gluten.
Gluten's already tough enough for me.
Yeah,
I don't need
yeah.
it toughened.
You want it to be as loose as possible. Lastly, America's Test Kitchen tested the pH levels in the bagels after they'd fermented. Oh, yes, the recipe leaves the bagels out overnight to ferment. This is, in fact, actually one of the reasons New York bagels are so great.
Oh, they're leaving them out on the curb
To
overnight.
ferment.
Uh-huh.
And the difference was minuscule.
Okay.
Okay. All that information led them to conclude that New York water can't take the credit for the finished product of the bagel. So what is it then that makes New York bagels so glorious? According to America's Test Kitchen, it's all about the recipe. They have one here that I could click on.
Why don't you make me some bagels?
Okay, well,
Learn that recipe and make me some bagels,
listen,
woman.
I'm busy.
I made you some chicken wings.
That's
I
true.
made you a lot of chicken wings. over the
Okay, I'm
last-
going to say that the making of the bagels is probably 10 times harder than the making of the chicken wings.
It has to be because I've never done anything easier than make those chicken wings. A bowl of cereal has more steps than
I
those in the air
know.
fryer.
You just threw it in the air fryer and threw some
20
seasoning on
minutes
and
later.
closed it.
Well, a little olive oil spray, but yeah.
Okay.
And then 20 minutes later, the best wings we've ever had. Eee.
Tasty.
In fact, we've gone too long without a batch of wings. It's been a week.
Wow, yeah, we should have that. And then, did we already tell people about the tasty treat we've been eating? It's also with the air fryer. Fried Oreos.
Oh, my God.
But they're
Mona-
covered in crescent roll. I mean, it's the best
Mom prepares them,
treat I've ever had in my life.
and you and I sit there like children, waiting for her to pull them out of the air fryer. And then we panic when we see the plate.
Oh my God, there's never enough
There
on
is
that
not enough.
fucking plate.
I think it's the best dessert I've ever had.
Yeah.
I really think it might be.
Because the Oreo becomes soft inside.
It
The
becomes
whole
almost
thing.
like Twinkie filling,
But it's still intact. It's weird because it's still intact. Like it looks,
but it's been liquefied.
it's just been softified.
Softified, yeah.
It became completely soft. It's not liquid.
No, it's softified.
It's just soft, but it's still like intact in its same shape inside the crescent roll.
But it becomes gooey.
Oh my!
It becomes gooey. It's so
I
good.
want it right now.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay, you tell.
Imagine splashing some New York tap water all over it.
Apparently would do nothing. Speaking of the opposite of this,
Okay.
Atkins.
Oh,
We
Atkins
talk about
diet?
Atkins.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. That I was on.
You said it's the opposite of fat free. It's to eat fat and then to go into ketosis. The Atkins diet is a low carb fat diet. So those crescent rolls are not going to be good on the Atkins.
No.
Okay.
I think you got to keep your total carb intake, at least when I was doing it in the 90s, to like under 20 grams a day, which is brutal. It's so hard to do that,
Wow.
to get into ketosis. And we had these little sticks we'd go pee on.
What?
Bree and I would take these little sticks. They were in this little like kind of a prescription bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And you take them out and you go wee wee or tinkle on the sticks.
Okay.
And they turn a color to tell you if you're in ketosis. And it would be kind of, we'd be
Are we
competitive
sure
about it.
That's
Oh, yeah, that
working?
really is scientific. Yeah.
How would it show up in your urine?
Because your urine is measuring how many ketones, like the strip can, if it has X amount of ketones, it'll turn it one color. And if it has,
Okay.
yeah, it is scientific. You can
Okay.
you can tell whether you're in ketosis or not by using a urine analysis.
Okay. But you were competitive about it.
Yeah, of course, we both wanted to be in ketosis.
Sure. Was Hugh Laurie a successful crime novelist in England before acting? He does have books.
Okay, what are some? Did you get some titles?
Oh, wait. He also has blues albums.
Oh, of course he does.
Let Them Talk and Didn't It Rain?
If there was a Cosmopolitan Man.
Oh my God.
It's Hugh Laurie.
But Let Them Talk was 2011 and Didn't It Rain was 2013. Not that long ago.
No.
Blues
7
albums.
years and 9 years, respectively.
Wow. And nice fast math. And then he authored the novel The Gun Seller in 96.
96. See, that's
Yeah.
pre-House.
Wowie, wow.
What a guy.
96 of the Olympics, year of the Olympics.
Oh, in Atlanta.
That's right.
With the explosion.
I forget about that part. I
Okay.
leave that part out.
That's
My
smart.
memory. I mainly remember the Romanian gymnasts and how I wanted to go there.
I can't believe you didn't go. It was in your backyard.
Romania?
No, Dingus, the Atlanta
Oh, I was
Olympics.
living in Tennessee at the time.
Well, was it 3 hours away?
Oh, they weren't going to take me there.
Okay. I'm surprised. They did most everything you wanted.
No. They would never have done something like that.
Tell the story about you cooking.
Milkshakes.
Yeah, I guess you weren't cooking, you were blending.
It was about 2 a.m. I was having a sleepover with Callie.
2 a.m.
Callie was over. And I decided I really needed us to have milkshakes.
Uh-huh.
So I went down to the kitchen. It's a very open floor plan
Oh,
of a
how
house.
nice.
The sound really travels.
Sure.
And I decided to throw some ice cream, milk, chocolate syrup into a blender. Then I blended.
Yeah.
And it took a while to blend because that's a thick ice cream, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And then my mom yelled from her bedroom, like, "What are you doing?" And then I just screamed at her, "I'm making a milkshake!"
You were very hot about it.
And I was not gonna not have that milkshake so
And
that they
Callie
could
was
sleep.
astounded by how you were yelling to mom at 2 a.m.
She's seen
Like,
some
get-
stuff. She's
She's seen
really
some
seen
dark-
some real stuff.
Some dark patches.
I also once kept a hot dog in my room for weeks.
Oh, okay.
I used to eat in my bedroom a lot.
Sure.
And then I wouldn't want to take the plate down, of course.
Uh-huh.
And in that case, I guess I didn't finish my hot dog.
Right, you got full.
I got really full quick because I was tiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I left it. And then she came over, and that hot dog had been there for like weeks.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Did it have a smell?
Not that I recall.
Okay. You probably got used to it in the way that
Yeah.
I couldn't smell that Brie and I's apartment smelled horrendous like an ashtray.
Oh, right.
I couldn't smell it. I didn't know.
Yeah, you get accustomed. I get scared of that with smells.
As you should. Well, don't you remember being a kid and you would go to friends' houses, and the second you walk, every friend of mine's house had a very distinct smell.
Yes.
Some pleasing, some
I
unpleasing.
know, and I think about that all the time about my own house, that it has the same thing.
But those people definitely didn't know that their house stunk. Your house smells good, though. I can tell you.
I'm
At least
scared
by
of that.
my what I find pleasing and not pleasing. It smells nice in there,
Oh God. Well, I used
despite the fact that you don't run the tightest ship per se. Like visually, if you were to guess how it smelled in there, you might go like, "Well, it might smell in here." But then you
it's
take a big
gorgeous in there. It's just not. It's just messy.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you just saw a snapshot of it and they said rank this 0 to 10, and what do you think it smells? You might be in the 5s.
You think?
Well, just like
It's not like I'm leaving hot dogs.
like undies
although,
and stuff on the floor, and
Well, no.
me
Just
undies
in-
on the chandelier, and food everywhere.
Okay, this is all lies. All of this is
Trash
lies.
overflowing from the waste bins.
No, none of that's
No, it's
true.
not that bad.
None of that's true. It's just messy. They're just like boxes on the floor.
And you'll get clothes piles. You like to make
Clothes
clothes piles, right? Like little termite mounds. That's all I'm saying is if you just saw a photo of the room with some dishes and
I don't like
3 or 4
folding the clothes.
right, 3 or 4 clothing termite mounds, you might just go, I bet it might. Oh, but you know what? It smells nice in here. It's a nice.
Okay, listen.
Yeah.
Do you think just based on piles of clothes that people think something smells?
Yeah, because you think, that person doesn't clean up,
But they're clean clothes.
But you would never know that looking at the
Oh.
picture. It looks like a big mound of dirty
clothes on
Yes.
my bed?
Or your living
Sometimes
room.
they're on my
there's-
bed.
Yeah, and then there's sometimes there's piles in the living room.
Well, that's if they're like dry cleaned and I haven't hung them up. So
Right.
they're really clean.
Yeah, but again, you gotta imagine you're just looking at a photo. I don't know you. I don't know anything about it. I just see piles of clothes in a few different locations, and you would imagine, it probably stinks in there a little bit.
Ugh.
But it doesn't. That's the good news.
God.
In this case, shan't judge your book by the cover because it smells delightful in there.
I'm getting defensive.
You can feel yourself getting defensive.
Yeah, because I don't have anyone to come fold my clothes. You laugh. Okay, you should not laugh. You have someone who folds your clothes.
No. You know
That's
how-
the truth.
You know how I know you're wrong is that when I was your age, I didn't have anyone that folded my clothes.
Well, were you
And-
doing as much as I'm doing? No.
Yes, I was.
You were at my age?
Yes, I was at any time owed 2 scripts to studios, and I was acting full time. At 32, I was working 80 hours a week.
Okay.
I was still selling scripts, and I was writing TV shows, and I was on one full time.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it is messy. I have not been able to balance that part of my life and work. I've not.
I
That's the
couldn't
truth.
be less judgmental about it all. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah.
I'm only just going on, you see a photo. That's it. You see a photo.
Sure.
You're flipping through Better Homes and Gardens, and one of the homes has piles of clothes, and you just, and then you're asked, do you think it smells great in there or less good?
All right. All right. I hear you. I hear you.
I also would have never left food in my room for 3 weeks. I'm just a different kind of person that way, which is one's not better than the other. It's just we are different a little bit that way.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's all?
Yeah, all for gosh, Jad.
I want them back real bad.
Yeah, and watch Central Park.
You got to watch and Avenue 5.
Do we know when Central Park? Yeah, Avenue 5 is so fun.
Yeah.
Funny. Do we know when Central Park starts?
No, but it has to be soon.
Summer 2020.
Summer 2020.
Summer loving.
Ooh, that's something exciting to
Had
look
me
forward to.
on
Exciting to look forward to
Yeah.
for the summertime.
Do you think they'll get rid of that song?
Oh.
We made out under the dock.
The Grease song.
Tell me more, tell me more.
Oh,
Did he
'cause-
hold you down? Like, doesn't it get a little rapey?
He says that?
No, but something
Oh my God.
like, tell me more. Did she put up a fight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get rid of it, but
But we'll have to do some explaining to our children when they hear it.
That's right.
So here's the thing. Back in 82,
Yeah.
it was expected that a guy would pursue until the gal had to put up a fight. And we don't do it that way anymore, and
No, we
we're all
don't.
grateful for it.
that's right.
All right, love you.
Love you.